Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly recap, and this is for the week of April 15th, 2018. And this is a pretty significant recap, actually, because update 2.20 just dropped. And so there's a lot more stuff to go through as far as what's different. And even though it's a relatively light update on content, there's one piece of new content. The Gingold Soda gear. There's a lot of other stuff to talk about that's maybe less obvious.
Yeah. And specifically on Android, what I'm hoping is that by the time we film this, it'll have been released on iOS. There's a link in the description for the explanation on the official forums about what's happening.
And there's also a link in the description for a preview of the new content if you want to check that out.
Right. And we're going to answer the most important question, is it worth upgrading, after we review everything that this update brings.
So to start off, we can do the normal stuff that we normally do, the brief, like what's going on currently in the game. Current challenges are through Flash, that's for 1 week. It needs Cyborg, Flash, and Hawkgirl, so that's bronze, and Hawkgirl's a gold challenge card, so kind of mixed on how easy it is to get it.
Right, it's a good card. He's a high stat Flash card. He's excellent on a full Earth 2 team with lots of stunning, and the automatic crit when the opponent is stunned makes him a really good candidate for wearing the Cloak of Destiny. And the time dilation, the third part of his passive where opponents slow down for 8 seconds, it's really annoying to face, but it doesn't feel like it offers much of an advantage when I'm playing with him offensively.
The multiplayer online content is the War Gauntlet that turns into the Claw of Horus.
So I like the card. It's an okay card. It's fun to play with, but doesn't feel like a legendary one. So Breaking Gears, totally fun way to play now that we have the Tantu Totem. And the other parts of the passive, the 10% damage on tagging, that's not enough to make it part of our strategy. And trying to get the advantage of getting opponents to tag out to get extra damage is cool, but it's not enough. It's harder to manage that kind of event so you don't get enough boosted damage, right? Because you can't tag your own guy out while that's happening. And you can see the Claw of Horus on our team with Dawn of Justice Superman, where we use the Claw of Horus to increase the chance of gear shattering to sort of supplement his passive.
Yeah. And I guess for the last thing, that's kind of the normal stuff that we go through on one of these videos. In the store, we've got the Blackest Night pack for 666,000 credits. And it's a decent pack. It's good, mostly high stat cards, but...
Yeah, Batman doesn't have great stats, but his passive makes up for it. And he's interesting because he's one of the guys who had... What's the opposite of a nerf? He was empowered.
Buffed.
He was buffed. That's the word I'm looking for. So he's buffed after he was originally released, and which shows you that it can happen, but it doesn't happen often enough, I think.
Nerfs and buffs.
That's it.
And so then there's also something else interesting in the store that's directly related to the update. Besides the one piece of gear, update 2.20 also now gives us the drop rates of loot boxes.
Well, that's what they call it in their description, which is interesting.
Which is I guess their term for packs. I feel like packs is kind of the universal description actually in the game itself.
I think maybe they're just going with a generic term so that it applies to, say, Injustice 2, which they have crates instead of packs.
And I think this is specifically because of like the legislation and the controversy and stuff surrounding loot boxes, where I know that's a hot button issue. I think whoever's running for governor in Hawaii right now was talking about legislating video games with loot boxes in the same kind of field as gambling, and I know there's a lot of talk about that in general. So it seems like this action is made specifically to kind of address that concern, and that's why that's why they're calling it loot boxes instead of packs. It's not really for the players as much. Yeah, because I think there's a thing in China even where Overwatch was made to display the drop rate of all their loot boxes. So there's discussions happening on loot boxes right now, and I think if this change appears to be one that is motivated by factors other than, I guess, usefulness to the player. Yeah, just based off of the terminology that they use.
So this is, when you say usefulness to the player, I mean, it's an absolutely cool idea. It would, if they'd executed it properly, it would, be as good as the videos that we do sometimes to open packs just to get an idea of the drop rate. So good idea, bit of flawed execution. So each of those packs will list the probability of 6 cards at the most, and then lumps everybody else into one group. For example, it says gold character in the gold pack. It's the same thing with the challenge pack, most wanted pack. And that's fine if it was a pack that didn't have a lot of options, but when you're talking about a challenge pack that has, I guess, 30 different cards, when you lump a whole bunch of them together, still becomes a bit of a crapshoot in terms of knowing what's in there. I mean, you know that there's 6 characters in there, you don't know what else is there. But you know what? It is... Alright, so there's also some mistakes, right? Because it lists support and upgrade cards for the most wanted packs, and you know you only ever get characters.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do like the part that I find interesting is that it shows the chance of the rare drops, right?
Yeah, not just the average card.
Right. So it's 2.25% for any of the Red Suns in the gold pack, and 3.25% for Shazam. There's 1% for the rares in the silvers in the bronze pack. So 1% Nightfall Bane, and 1% New 52 Green Lantern, 1% New 52 Flash. And, alright, so this is the other part that's interesting to me. Regime Doomsday in the silver pack is actually a slightly lower chance. 4% instead of 5% for the regular silvers. Which makes me wonder if their intention was that Doomsday was the best of the silvers.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Maybe. Who knows?
And in the gears... Now we can really see. I mean, we talked about this when we did our gear locker unboxing, or not unboxing, but just like opening a couple hundred packs. The Razzle Glue Scimitar is 1% only, so it's a legendary gear is much rarer than a rare gear, which is 15%.
Yeah.
But because you've got more than 30 pieces of rare gear, if you actually want one particular piece, the chance of getting that one piece is less than 0.5%.
Yeah, so if your goal is to get a specific piece of gear or to get Razagul Scimitar, it's actually technically you're more likely to get Razagul Scimitar than you are to get any specific piece of rare gear.
And we knew that, but now it's nice to have it confirmed.
Yeah, so I think this is definitely interesting. I think it's useful to some extent, but I think the way that it's implemented seems to indicate that it's not entirely for us.
Right.
It's coincidentally useful to us and interesting, but I think the way that it feels a little bit sloppy.
Yeah, there's room for improvement. For sure.
and the way that they talk about it, kind of outwardly, in the way that I think other people are going to read it. Makes it seem like it's maybe part of a bigger issue and not actually specifically making Injustice more like readable to the players and have the information more readily available.
Completely agree. All right, so here's the problem. So we're still talking about update 2.20. Survivor is still messed up in Android. So, you know, still, after an update to fix a bunch of glitches, which we'll get into, they couldn't be bothered to update Survivor. So that's a big boo for me.
It sucks.
It still shows LexCorp gears on the main page, and it's still giving Suicide Squad gears. So, no Fourth World gears, no League of Assassins gears, and no LexCorp gears for us.
Yeah, they're really just gating off their own content. And I mean... It doesn't matter to us at the point we're at. We have all of this stuff. It still feels kind of crappy because it feels like this is, like maybe it is. It doesn't feel like it should be a huge problem to fix.
Right. I'm hoping that by the time you see this video, the situation is going to be corrected. I mentioned this earlier, but the reason that Injustice was removed from the Apple App Store, is that the term for it for Apple? I know Google's Play Store.
Yeah, I think it's App Store.
Is that they found a bug and want to correct it, and there's a post from one of the official admins on the Warner Brother forums explaining this. So this is actually not just a guess. This is official news.
Yeah, and so we can link to that in the description.
Oh, also unannounced in the update notes is that the graphics, they seem to be worse.
Which is a weird change.
Yeah, so they're less detailed. It seems to me that there's less texture on the costumes. And it's really obvious when there's a big chunk of one color, like on one of the Superman with their blue. And then you can really see it feels like it's almost washed out in just one sort of blob.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, this might be a change made to allow a wider range of devices to be able to run it, or to have it run better on devices, which is cool. But it seems like a weird thing to walk back on now, especially considering that, you know, when you make higher detailed textures and when you make a game run at a higher fidelity, it seems like that's a lot of work to put in to kind of pull back.
So I like the idea that you just mentioned that it's meant to increase compatibility.
Yeah.
I would have feel more confident in that if they'd actually included that in the release notes.
Yeah, it's a weird thing not to say. Whatever the reason for doing it, all we can do is speculate because we definitely can't figure out for sure what they wanted.
Right.
So moving on to current glitches, just remember that every working glitch is explained in a video as part of the playlist you can reach by clicking the I in the top right corner of this video. And as always, we're Android only. We're only going to confirm these glitches for Android because we just simply can't test for iOS, though we might mention here and there if people report it's working.
And we always keep these playlists updated, and if you'd actually been paying attention, I updated all these playlists on Tuesday night, starting Tuesday night, when I started testing all the glitches. So if you've been following along, you would have had basically an update without a new video, and you would have known what was going on. But we also posted something in our Patreon, and we've done a mix of different kinds of posts, some public, some just for patrons. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later.
So the biggest news, the glitch for power credits is patched. And not just that, basically any glitch that relies on skipping fights but getting rewards for the fights, that method of exploiting the game has been patched entirely. So that's the power credits glitch, that's the breakthrough, that's farming XP, that's any time that you would skip a fight. There's no way to do that anymore that we are aware of.
But the glitch to get your season rewards early still works. And again, this is a repeat. This is not a first run season. So there isn't really the same danger of getting your account suspended if you use it. But if you want to avoid triggering accidentally, same suggestion as before, to log in through settings every time before you go into online play. And if you're already logged in, log out and then log back in.
Getting into the other glitches, the breakthrough glitch to let you play it repeatedly is still working. We've got a comment in the description from a viewer who had a solution for people who are having trouble playing extra breakthroughs. We can't confirm whether or not it works because we can't test it.
We're not having the same problem.
Yeah, we can't create the issue to even try to fix. But if you're having that issue, you can check that out.
So both challenge reset glitches, the regular one and what we call the alternate, the one that requires a Google Cloud save and the one that doesn't, they're both working. They're both tested and confirmed on Earth to the Flash.
Yeah. The airplane mode / refund glitch is still working, and that's good for just resetting any pack drops that you don't want or
Loot
any random
boxes.
drops. Yeah, now we have actually an official term. They're calling them loot boxes, so I guess we can too.
Now, and last laugh tickets, would those be loot boxes also? Not really, right?
I guess not. Any random drops, anything that they might call loot boxes, you could call packs, what have you.
Right.
You can reset your rolls for that, your results. Time shifting still works in Android for unlimited survivor play and energy recharges. As always, you just gotta remember to return your clock back to normal before you finish.
Free energy without having to watch the video probably still works if you still have the working button that's not grayed out for free energy.
Yeah.
And we're still stuck, still working on a solution. We don't have it yet. Let us know if you've got a potential solution for that.
Yeah, and we've got a comment from Dragons952 to help iOS users if they have their buttons grayed out. Again,
yeah, we've cut and pasted his comment into the description. And we can't comment on how effective it is. We're not iOS, but feel free to try it out and let us know if it works for you.
And to finish up the discussion of glitches, as always, it seems like it's been this way for a very long time. The promotion glitch, where you can promote characters that are still locked, has not had the right conditions since update 2.14. So another update has come and went with no opportunities to see if it's working.
Right.
But we are still holding out hope.
Yeah.
We're still going to keep it in there. And we're going to keep it in there until we're sure it is patched.
So to answer the original question, bottom line, is it worth upgrading? Short answer, no. There's only one piece of new content. It isn't here yet. Glitches were patched. The only reason to upgrade would be if there were some online multiplayer reward that you absolutely need to have, because the only difference is that you can't get into online play without upgrading.
Yeah.
If you stick with update 2.19... you'll still be able to play each challenge. Since there were no new characters added in 2.20, you'll have access to every other event basically that's working. So in my mind, it's better to wait until Gingo Fruit, which becomes Gingold. I have so much trouble saying this. Gingold Soda.
Yeah, it's weird.
When it's what's probably going to be an MP season reward. And, if that's what matters to you, like we always do on Thursdays, we'll be letting everyone know in our Thursday recap when that gear has its season, so you could always wait until it comes out. And there's always a possibility that they won't release it until a later update, maybe even 2.21. I mean, we've got precedent for that, right?
Yeah. So I think in the meantime, unless you're looking for multiplayer-specific content or you're really hankering for it and you're not making use of the glitch to skip fights, if you're not making use of the glitch to skip fights and you don't think you will, you can update. Yeah. But if you're making any use of it, or if you plan to, or if you think that you might change your mind, we would not update as of now.
Right. So I mentioned earlier, we have a Patreon. If you want to support what we do with more than reviews, you can click on the symbol at the bottom right of corner of the video in the last, I guess, 10 seconds it'll be. Sometimes we'll have patron exclusive posts because the way we do stuff, we often have screen captures and information a day or two ahead of when we make the video.
Yeah.
And we never had anywhere to post it before. So we decided that would be an additional reward for those who've been supporting us. And I've sort of been thinking about whether, keeping some stuff exclusive or having them exclusive for a few days, like a sneak peek for our patrons. And, that's a little bit up in the air. No hard and fast rules. We'll probably be making adjustments as we go.
Yeah.
So probably worth checking out. We've definitely got some public stuff, and we definitely include stuff that ends up not making it to a video, not because it's not interesting, but because, like the pack openings, they don't stay around long enough to put out the video.
Yeah, and now's a good time to be clear, just for a second. If you don't have the means to, or decide not to support us on Patreon, but you watch our videos, that's totally fine. We're not only making our videos because of support on Patreon, so it's not a necessity for anything that we do here. And we're also not gating off any content that we would otherwise have been putting into our normal stuff and just giving it to patrons. So you guys are still getting 100% of what you would have before we had the Patreon. So just that if you're a fan, that's fine, and we don't need more from you. This is just an opportunity for the people who really, really like our stuff. And there's a couple out there, and we really appreciate you guys to support us if you so choose.
Yeah, I think if we'd had a blog or something, this is the kind of stuff that we would have been putting, sort of that interstitial kind of stuff. So before we're making a video, we have some notes, we have some ideas.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll just pop them over there in a post.
Yeah, so I guess to finish up our discussion on Patreon, we should thank all of our wonderful patrons, because they're the people that make it worth us actually having the extra stuff to put on Patreon. Wouldn't make sense if we weren't posting it for anybody.
So that's thanks to Alberto Jr. Camarillo, supporting us at the top tier last word, iProfit, who is supporting us at the Your Message Here tier, and Lane, who supports us on the credited level.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. And thank everybody else for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.